Okay, I'll begin by saying this has a partial spoiler for Justice League Volume 3, Issue number 23, Part 6 of 6 of Trinity War. Pretty much at the very end, well, okay, the Trinity War was based upon the following things. The Trinity of Sin, which was Pandora, Phantom Stranger, and the Question, were trying to work on some things. I really didn't know that much about their characters. But Pandora, of course, had Pandora's box. Essentially, this time it's a skull. Tried to get Superman to open it. Something happened with Superman. He went mildly crazy. He killed a guy who was Dr. Light. Not the same Dr. Light who raped characters in Identity Crisis. It was a little different Dr. Light. Ended up being there were traitors on their team, but in order to figure out what was going on, the Justice League, well, Justice League of America, since it dealt with magic, they brought in Justice League Dark. So you had the Trinity of Sin, the 3 Justice Leagues. A lot of it also dealt with the personal issue between Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, the other Trinity. So we're at 3 Trinities already. But it doesn't stop there. It also dealt with Earth 3. Earth 3 is, well, I guess it's the current home again for the Crime Syndicate. Now we'll do a brief background on the Crime Syndicate, as brief as I can because they've been around for quite some time. Pre-Crisis, they were an Earth 3 group where it was pretty much the main 5 were all villains. So you had Johnny Quick, Power Ring, Ultraman, Superwoman, and Owlman. Not the same Owlman who later appeared in The Outsiders after Batman left that group. They initially died during Crisis on Infinite Earths. They were brought back a little bit in the Grant Morrison Animal Man run when he was breaking the fourth wall towards the very end. They were then brought back later. I want to say this was Morrison and Gary Frank in the Earth 2. Now this was post-Crisis pre-52 Earth 2, which is the antimatter version of Earth. So they were therefore reintroduced. That's a really great graphic novel to get. It's really interesting. The Gary Frank artwork takes a little while to get used to, but it was very good. And then later on they appeared again in the Justice League run. I think Kurt Busiek did that. Again, really well laid out piece where all of a sudden, shortly after the JLA Avengers crossover, something happened to the Earth that Justice League was from, or Earth 1, which therefore allowed the Crime Syndicate to win. In the past, Justice League could never win on Earth 3, or I guess on Earth 3, and the Crime Syndicate never win on Earth 1. Flash forward, now all of a sudden they can pick up victories on Earth 1, which therefore led the Justice League to go, well, if they can beat us here, we can beat them there. And then they tried to turn the Crime Syndicate world upside down. That also involved the Quardian. They had a massive warship that constantly was able to evolve itself. It's a great, I think it's called Syndicate Rules. It's a great little, it's a 9-issue arc. Really interesting read. They then also appeared in Trinity, which was the 52, I think the third 52 series. They also appeared a little bit in Countdown. I do have a book that's got the majority of what's in what I'm talking about. It's predominantly the Crime Syndicate, with the exception of the time when they appeared in the last couple of issues of Justice League of America Volume 2, whichever was the one that was just before the 52 switch. So if you're keeping score at home, pre-Crisis they were Earth 3. Post-Crisis pre-52 they were Earth 2. Post, or I guess New 52, they're Earth 3 again. So just make sure it was 3, big crisis. 2, reboot, back to 3. So I'm going to look at the principal 3 members of this. Ultraman, who, depending on how they were writing him, he was either powered by Anti-K, which is anti-kryptonite, ridiculously vicious, ruthless character. I think he also appeared in Final Crisis. You know, he is if Batman was more like the Plutonian. I think it's a character from Irredeemable. So this is a, you know, if Batman runs at a 10, if Superman runs at a 10, Ultraman is a 10 non-stop. Superwoman, who is an Amazon. Jeez. Her lasso, as opposed to having truth, more or less lowers inhibitions. Yeah. She is a very unique side story with that universe is Jimmy Olsen. She's also, normally she's shown to be married to Ultraman, but also having an affair with Owlman. And Ultraman knows about it. Owlman essentially is the quintessential if Batman was a bad guy. I mean, if you ever got to see the Justice League movie, Crisis on Two Earths, you know, the one that was voiced by James Woods, that is pretty much Owlman. Owlman is, I will do whatever it takes to achieve victory, unless I'm going to die. In some cases, I might die to get the victory. So you've got three ridiculously powerful, souped-up versions of the heroes. I'm going to have them face off against members of the Avengers. So we're going to have Ultraman versus Thor. We're going to do Miss Marvel versus Superwoman. And Captain America versus Owlman. As always, I have my 9 criteria. Intelligence, findability, strength, speed, durability, invulnerability, energy projection, versatility, and X Factor. So we'll get right into this. Thor versus Ultraman. Ultraman, depending on background origin, was actually a scientist. Other people actually have him as, he was either a rocket scientist, he was a scientist who was out exploring space, and ended up either getting kidnapped by aliens and injected with anti-K, or landed on a meteorite of anti-K. So, you've got somebody who actually has a high degree of scientific background. So intelligence goes to him. Fighting ability. You know, Ultraman is the strongest person in his universe, so he's practically a brawler. So fighting ability, Thor. Strength. And this one, I'll be honest, Ultraman gives Superman a ridiculous run for his money. So I'm going to give the strength edge to Ultraman. Speed. Again, we're looking at somebody who, there's more speed feats in DC. I'm sorry, so speed, Ultraman. Durability. This is where it gets kind of weird, because he normally has to wear pouches of anti-K, because he can run low on strength. He's fighting a god. Durability, boom, Thor. Invulnerability. You know, there is a limit to Ultraman's power. He is a candle that burns bright. Doesn't burn very long. So invulnerability, again, goes to the demigod Thor. Now we're looking at energy projection. You have the same level of abilities, a lot more sadistic, but he is taking on somebody who's pretty much rocking a Deus Ex Machina. So for the energy projection, it's Thor. Versatility, man, it's also Thor. You know, Ultraman in his universe rules so much by fear, and just puts your opponent down really fast. So he's not as creative as he needs to be. He also hasn't been in as many comics, so he might be a lot more creative. They just haven't shown that yet. Now we're down to the all-important X Factor. Depending on where they fight, you know, Ultraman's going to be at a severe disadvantage. Thor will not be. So in this one, it's 6-3. Thor brings enough to the table that he's going to mop the floor with who essentially ends up being the evil version of Superman. Now we're going to go on to Superwoman versus Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, scientist, Kree-born warrior. Depending on the background you go with, she's got a lot of background to her. Superwoman, ironically, reporter. She's kind of the lowest land of her universe. So I've got to look at journalistic reporter, who's kind of a dominatrix, versus scientist from an alien civilization. So Miss Marvel definitely takes it when it comes to intelligence. Fighting ability. You have a trained Amazon who hasn't really had to really fight all that much currently. She also kind of gets outdone by Donna Troy. Somewhat. Donna Troy has been shown to be able to kind of hold her own with her, and Donna Troy is a step below Wonder Woman. Versus the Kree-born warrior. Now to strength. In this one, you know, Superwoman has been shown to be able to take the mettle of somebody like a Donna Troy. In the past, she's been shown to hold her own decently against Wonder Woman, so she's not as strong as they are. So I'm going to say that Miss Marvel is definitely stronger. Speed. Speed goes to DC, because DC just tends to have more on the way of speed feats. Durability. Yeah, this one, I'm going to give that one to Miss Marvel. Invulnerability. Got the ability to do force fields, a lot more training, a lot more background. We're giving invulnerability to Miss Marvel. Energy. Ironically, Miss Marvel does have some distance. You really don't see much of that from Superwoman. Versatility. Superwoman, even though she's a unique character, she's normally really not been shown to have a tremendous amount of versatility. She is more or less kind of the weird lackey to make the Trinity a bizarre love triangle. So versatility, we're looking at Miss Marvel. X Factor, again, depending on the planet, Miss Marvel's got an edge. This is the only one I've ever actually had a 1 to 8. When I saw these two groups, I'm like, all right, cool, I want to do the big characters on both sides. And I was like, man, Miss Marvel, Miss Marvel is a tough fight for someone like Wonder Woman, and Superwoman's been handled pretty easily by someone like Wonder Woman. She's also been almost beaten by someone like Donna Troy. So while she's a strong character, they didn't put her in the same echelon as her female heroic counterpart. So if you're keeping score at home, the Avengers are 2-0 against the Crime Syndicate. Now we've got Captain America and Owlman. Intelligence. This is Owlman. In his earlier iteration, he had the ability of mental control. Then later he just became just a flat-out Batman as a sadistic lunatic. Fighting ability. I'm giving this one to Owlman. Owlman can hang with Batman. And he is a ridiculously dirty fighter. Strength. This one is somewhat of a toss-up, predominantly because Owlman does have a decent amount of superhuman traits to him. However, he hasn't been shown to have a lot of super strength in opposed to someone like Captain America. Now looking at speed. For this one, when it comes to speed, I'm actually going to give the edge slightly to Owlman. Owlman has been shown to have the speed that makes normal people kind of go, he's a lot faster than a normal human. Now we're at to durability. Cap has a light healing factor, so I'm going to give it to Captain America. Invulnerability. They both wear certain levels of armor, however, Owlman wears armor that helps him against Ultraman. So he wears an armor that helps him against a Superman analog. Now we're looking at how are they at a distance, what's their energy projection styles. You've got a wicked gadget user who's got a whole bunch of nasty tricks up his sleeve. Versatility. Again, you have a tremendously skilled tactician who is just packed to the gills with random, bizarre, and crazy things. X Factor. Again, depending on where they're at, Cap is at an advantage. This one actually is being 6-3. So if these three characters were to actually have this sort of battle, this 3-on-3, Thor is going to be able to beat Ultraman. It's not going to be an easy fight, but he's going to take him down. Miss Marvel is pretty much going to curb stomp. She will be able to defeat Superwoman, and then probably have enough time to be like, oh, the guys need help? Do you want me to help you out in the fights, or I'm going to make some cookies or something, my guy's done. And you've got probably about another 20-30 minutes on yours. I can take out Owlman real quick. And in Captain America versus Owlman, Captain America, while he's an absolute paragon when it comes to fighting, he's taking on a Batman sort of character with zero inhibitions.